Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Fortean Slip. This is episode negative 10. We'll need to arm ourselves to the teeth. I have returned after multiple teeth being ripped out of my friggin' head. It was not fun by any stretch of the imagination. But such predicaments I must forge ahead. We move on in this here universe. I'm still getting used to talking with these things. It's not easy. Swallowing at first was very rough. Couldn't do it at all. Then they did some work to it, and I was able to finally swallow. But it's been a process, for damn sure. All in all, I'm not going to say it was a horrible experience. It wasn't. My initial extractions, the first couple of days were not bad. Even my wife was like, you didn't even look like you had teeth ripped out of your head until later on. And then a couple days later, it all just set in. I had chipmunk cheeks right in here. It just blew up. It looked like I had a black eye. It was not fun. But yeah. The whole story, as it were. I went in on, Monday last week to have my extractions done and have my dentures put in. He gets done doing the extractions, so numbs me up, starts pulling teeth, and gets to the bottom one on this side, yanks it out, holds it in front of my face, and says, "Look at the root on that thing." And I'm like, I really don't want to look at it. It's just a rotted tooth. I mean, I guess it had this gnarly root on it, and it was pretty big, but it was just a nasty tooth. And shoves the denture in my mouth. Says this is going to act like a Band-Aid. And already I can feel it like dropping out of my mouth. And my mouth is just filling up with stuff, blood and saliva. And I can't swallow. So, I get up, I turn around, and all my teeth are laid out on this tray. And I'm like, oh boy, that's nasty. That's what I had in my mouth. So I go to leave. Like I said, still can't swallow. Mouth is filling up with stuff. I'm just keeping my mouth shut and nodding. And I get outside, I'm able to spit, at least. And I'm like, I can't keep these things in. There's no way. And they didn't even put my bottoms in. That was the other thing I forgot. They didn't put my bottoms in at all. So I got home. Didn't really have any pain from it at all. Took ibuprofen, Tylenol. It was a pretty, easygoing transition. Albeit the fact that I couldn't keep my dentures in. So like I said, I went home. I wound up taking my dentures out. They wouldn't stay in. And I haven't been able to wear my bottom dentures at all. My denturist actually has them. Excuse me. Had a couple of days. My face looked fine. And like I said, it blew up. I had tried to wear my dentures a couple of times in that period of time. Wouldn't happen at all. So I went to the denturist, and she wound up putting them in. But like I said, still was having issues with them. So I wound up going back this past week. But when I went back to the dentist on Monday, they had to rip out another piece of bone out of the bottom and then put more stitches in my mouth. So it was a good and bad. They took all the stitches out of the top of my mouth, ripped that out in the bottom, didn't numb me up quite enough, and I felt quite a bit of it. But all in all, not complaining. Went to go see the denturist. They redid my denture, and it fits a lot better. I'm able to just use a little bit of glue, and it just pops right in. But like I said, I'm still learning to talk with it. I'm still learning to eat with it. I can't chew very well with it. Although I did have a grilled cheese sandwich today. I was pretty fucking proud of myself for that. Fucking pat myself on the back for that one. But it's been, it's been a journey. It's been a struggle. There's no way I could have gotten on last week. I'd have been just toothless, and it was disgustingly horrible when I don't have this damn thing in. But yeah, it's been a time of it. Katie says, "You sound great, Chris." Yeah, I know I still kind of sound like me, and I need to work on it. It's not easy. Katie also says, Joe said I have to leave a comment that says, "Go Hoosiers." All I know is I saw the movie with Gene Hackman. It's a good movie. Good movie. Farmer Fred says, "Hey y'all." Hey bub. Did he let you keep your teeths? No, I didn't get to keep my teeths. I get these ones, but not the old ones. Bad game. I believe that's Les. Says, "Yep, you do sound like you." Me, but a little different. It's gonna take some time. And most everybody that I've talked to has said, give it some time. It'll be like it's normal. But it's gonna take some time. And I've realized that I just have to keep putting them in, working through it, um, doing things, super important. Um, uh, I do try to talk as much as I can. Um, I think that's it, you know, as important as anything else. Trying to learn how to use these things. Katie says they won a big championship for the first time ever. Awesome. I don't follow sports, but awesome. um. So yeah, I still have stitches down here. Or at least I think I do. And it's still kind of painful. I was supposed to go back next week and see the denturist, and hopefully she can put in my bottom. But yeah, I wound up having to take a bunch of time off from work, which I did not want to do. And it was painful at some points. Like I said, my face exploded. I went into work one day and I wound up doing some stuff I probably shouldn't have done. And when I woke up the next morning, I looked like absolute shit. So, yeah. Moral of the story: take care of your teeth, kids. Take care of your freaking teeth. We're not sharks. We don't get multiple sets. So, yeah. Yeah. I recommend that you take care of your teeth. But yeah, I'm getting more and more used to it. Swallowing pills is another thing that I had to learn again. Not easy. Coughing stuff up. Because I had a cold. Well, I had the flu, which turned into blah, blah, blah. Trying to cough stuff up out of my lungs. Yeah, that would make me gag. It would hit the back of my denture, make me gag. Good times. Good fucking times, let me tell you, people. So yeah, that's basically what I've been going through. I didn't do a whole hell of a lot. I didn't feel like doing a whole hell of a lot. There was 2 whole days I slept. Just slept. Literally. I wound up calling out of work. And that the day after I had gone in that one day. And then the next 2 days I was in bed. So, yeah, that was fun. But yeah, made it through. Here I am. I just keep trying to push through. Like I said, keep doing things, keep putting them in, which is hard because a lot of times I like to have them out. They can be uncomfortable. But I've had them in most of the day today. I'll probably pull them out a little later, but only so I can have some fucking ice cream with peanut butter, because that'll rip them out, which isn't any fun. But yeah, I still haven't finished Dark, the time travel show there, on my rewatch. I'm on like episode 3 of the 3rd season, I think. Somewhere in there. And I think there's like 8 episodes in that season. Like I was saying last time, great fucking show. If you have not seen Dark, totally recommend that show. I can't recommend it enough. The first two seasons, especially. The third season kind of gets a little wacky. But the first two seasons of Dark are solid. Just solid. I finished Fatal Revenant. Finally, the book. Very, I enjoyed the book. It was very slow though. And when I got to the end, I made a decision. I got to break away from that. Pretty sure I'm gonna read Brandon Sanderson's Isles of the Emberdark or Isle of the Emberdark. I bought that when it was on GoFundMe, a Kickstarter or something. Not GoFundMe, a Kickstarter, some type of thing. He's been doing a lot of those with his novels. And I haven't been doing much of anything else. Playing video games. Playing fucking video games. A lot of that. Jessica Hurtado says dental pain is hard to go through. It's hard to sleep through. I didn't have any problems. Mine, my extractions weren't that bad. The bottom was kind of bad because I had that bone sticking out. Excuse me. But otherwise, the top was no problem at all. I even told the dentist, I was like, dude, that was great. I didn't hardly have any issue at all. What do you watch it on? Dark is on Netflix. I highly recommend that show. It's a German show. It's subtitled, but it's or you can watch it subtitled, or it's also dubbed. And the voices that they dubbed it with are excellent. And the actors that are on that show are excellent. And I was just watching another trailer for something that's a German show, and I saw some of the same actors that are in Dark. And it made me want to watch the show. I like foreign stuff. If you've never seen it and you can come across it, I think it's on one of the streaming services. The original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series, not the English version, the original versions are amazing. I watched those years ago, and they are fantastic. The one that they made with Daniel Craig and I think it's Rooney Mara. They're not as good. I don't like them at all, really, in comparison. The originals are really good. Jessica says I'm a subtitle reader. Perfect. I would watch it with just the German. I think it would be a better experience for you, because their performances are fantastic. So, yeah, and I still want to watch that other movie. Shit, I can't think of it right now. UFO style abduction movie. It's a foreign movie, but they used AI to change their lips so that they would be speaking the English, and they had all of the actors come back and do their lines in English. Blah blah blah. Anyway, I still haven't watched that, and I have every fucking intention of doing that. I didn't really put together a show for tonight. Because of this. I've been just, like I said, beat to shit. Went back to work, worked a full week this past week, Sunday through Thursday, and had yesterday and today off. Haven't really had time to do much of anything. Been trying to just get back into the swing of things after having the flu and then having my teeth ripped out of my head. Good times had by all. Um, I haven't noticed anything when I go looking as far as Bigfoot related stuff, UFO related stuff. I mean, there's some UFO related stuff that comes out every so often now and again. Um, and Phil had thrown me the last time that dog man story that he had obviously come across. So I definitely got to put together something for next week. I did not put anything together for tonight. I just wanted to get on and be able to let you guys know what had happened, how I'm doing with everything. Go through the freaking news that I did find. Because I did promise you guys I would read through the news with my new teeth in. So, but yeah, a friend of mine reached out to me and asked me to run a tabletop role-playing game for him and his buddies. I'm not sure how that's gonna go. I told him I'd think about it. I have not done that in a really long time. The last time I ran a tabletop role-playing game, I was in my early 20s. I think. I'm fairly sure. And then we just stopped. Once games like EverQuest came around, the massive multiplayer online role-playing games, we stopped playing the tabletop role-playing games. We just got online and played these games together. And in retrospect, we fucked up. We should have continued playing tabletop role-playing games. It would have been much more satisfying if we had spent our money on that shit rather than what we did. But hey, it is what it is. Like I said, I haven't done that in a really long time. I'm interested in doing it. I have a vast library of stuff. I have an enormous amount of material. I had literally just not that long ago bought on sale. I have it over there in hardcover. Complete world for playing in Wonderland in Dungeons and Dragons. All the creatures and everything are done out. Stats for Dungeons and Dragons. I have a multitude of rule sets to fuck with. I have GURPS, Shadowrun, all of the TSR second edition stuff. God, what else do I have? Forbidden Lands. I just have a ton of stuff. And I'd been wanting to mess with it. Back when my son was younger, I had wanted to get together a group for him to play. He wound up playing in college instead. And it's it never wound up coming to fruition. One thing is I'm a very in-person tabletop role-playing kind of person. That's the way I grew up. So those guys want to play on Roll20, I guess. And I've never used that before. Was supposed to get together with him this weekend to try it out, see how it works. I haven't done that yet. But um, I'm open to it, but I excuse me. Like I said, I like the in-person thing. It's more. I think it's more communal than playing it online. But we'll see. I've never done it before. Maybe I'll like it. I don't know. Maybe I'll like being able to sit here and do it. Um, I have gotten into solo role playing, which is a lot of fun. If you can let yourself go with it, can be a lot of fun. Can also be a lot of fun for coming up with ideas for gaming, if you're into that. Um, so I like I said, I'm leaning towards doing it. I just don't know how that's gonna work out, but um, all in all, it's been an interesting delve back into my past, looking at the idea of running a role playing game again. I very much could be done. I threw the idea of Forbidden Lands out at him because one of the guys he's into werewolves, and they have a race in there called Wolfkin that would work really well for him. But I've never played that at all, so I'd have to learn it, which isn't that difficult, but a lot easier to just sit down and play D&D 2nd edition, which I know very well, and I have all the material for, so it's not even like an issue. But yeah, those are the things that have been going on for me, and yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. I will put together something for next week. I've been looking into a few things that I want to perhaps delve into, but we'll see what I come up with before next week. Until then, let's get into the news, everybody. If it ever lets me. Our first story of the evening from PCGamer.com. Software engineer creates classic SimCity style map of New York City and argues that AI will be good for creatives, actually. I enjoy a good traced ray, AI upscaled texture, or hallucinated frame as much as the next person, but I think pixel art remains an important part of any art team's toolkit. Pixel art offers far more than a nostalgic throwback appeal, capable of a level of expression that would give even the most photorealistic polygons a run for their money. So when I stumbled across the isometric New York City map project, I was at first properly stoked and then deeply conflicted. Isometric NYC is the one-man effort of Andy Cohen, attempting to render all of New York City in an isometric pixel art style distinctly reminiscent of the SimCity series. But rather than laboriously building this city pixel by pixel, Conan has instead leveraged multiple AI agents to create this city map. The entire process required much more work than dashing off a handful of prompts. But you are perhaps beginning to understand my sense of conflict. Conan himself is a software engineer currently conducting AI research at Google DeepMind. He explains that the original idea for isometric NYC was to use Google's Nano Banana to generate a pixel art map from satellite imagery, tile by tile. Though Conan ultimately used a number of AI agents, including Claude Code, Gemini CLI, and Cursor, He also shares that he wound up writing almost no code for this project. He first set to work by whiteboxing city geometry using 3D city GML data. Unfortunately, his original plan didn't work out because there was a bit too much inconsistency between the whitebox geometry and the top-down satellite imagery, and Nano Banana was prone to too much hallucination in resolving these differences. Moving to Google Maps 3D tiles, APIs more precisely aligned geometry and texturing, Conan encountered further issues with Nano Banana. Nano Banana. Okay. Being such a large generative AI banana. I can't even do it. Being such a large generative AI model, Nano Banana struggled to output a stylistically consistent city, and ultimately proved both too slow and too pricey for the project's intended scope. So Conan elected to train something smaller and cheaper. By feeding a Quen image edit model a training dataset of 40 input-output pairs, Conan began to get AI-generated city tiles closer to his preferred style in a fine-tuning process that took 4 hours and cost $12. Many more weeks of work followed to create software that would allow you to zoom in and out of each tile without completely hammering your hardware. At a glance, the final result is pretty breathtaking. Even that billionaire apartment building everyone hates, 432 Park Avenue, is represented here. The illusion falters when you zoom all the way in. There's a telltale AI goopiness that immediately dispels any illusion of purposefully placed pixels. Now, on the one hand, creating all of this by hand would have taken a lifetime of work for one person. And at that point, what would have to sustain you throughout such a project is pure love of the pixel art game. That's all without getting into whether you decide to stay on top of representing New York City's constant stream of changes, or simply choose to let every pixel art building be its own time capsule. Conan's method has produced a somewhat accurate chunk of New York City in an isometric-inspired style on a comparatively shorter timeline. It's important to note, though, that Conan isn't motivated by the business-brained efficiency mindset we've perhaps come to expect from creative applications of generative AI. He shares, "I spent a decade as an electronic musician, spending literally thousands of hours dragging little boxes around on a screen. This isn't creative, it's just a slog." He acknowledges that this slog can also hone your creative instincts, but still feels AI could represent the end of drudgery in creative fields. Though interestingly, he ends the train of thought thus: if you can push a button and get content, then that content is a commodity. Its value is next to zero. Counterintuitively, that's my biggest reason to be optimistic about AI and creativity. When hard parts become easy, the differentiator becomes love. And to me, that sounds like the Google DeepMind AI researcher agreeing that love of the game is key to art and human creativity. I don't know. Seems pretty cool. I like that idea. Creating a SimCity style version of New York City. I think that's kind of cool. Katie says, "I did love all the Sim games." Yes. Yes. I still play some of them now and again. I wish I could get SimCity 2000. I've been meaning to look at that. But about getting that again. That was a good one. Let's see. Next story of the evening, if I can do this here. Slow down a bit. From the New York Post.com or NYPost.com. Mysterious Dorito-shaped aircraft spotted flying at night over Area 51. Something interesting here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's not that interesting. A mysterious Dorito-shaped aircraft was spotted soaring above the highly classified Frito-Lay area. Area 51, military base in southern Nevada. Off-grid videographer Anders Ottosson, known for documenting the mysterious landscapes around the military installation for his YouTube channel, Uncanny Expeditions. Wow. That train is humming by my house tonight. Uncanny Expeditions was out in the desert when he recorded a strange, unidentified aircraft around 3 a.m., January 14th. The craft, believed to be an unidentified aerial phenomenon, appeared to have an equilateral triangle shape, noticeably different from the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber that Ottosson filmed earlier that night. While the B-2 has a similar V-wing profile, Ottosson said the mystery craft appeared to have a flatter trailing edge, no visible wings, and a jagged rear section. Still, Ottosson noted that given the limited resolution, he would not rule out the possibility that it was a B-2 or another military aircraft. Are we looking at a classified test flight or run-of-the-mill training sortie? The explorers asked. I certainly think we have something interesting here. Ottosson said the aircraft matched the shape and flight trail seen in 2014 photos showing what appeared to be an as-yet unacknowledged triangle-shaped aircraft over Wichita, Kansas, and Amarillo, Texas. The two photos appeared to show similar unidentified triangle-shaped aircraft, unlike any known Air Force planes or drones. He added that the sighting also reminded him of more recent reports of similar Dorito-shaped aircraft spotted over Southern California's remote desert regions. On January 15th, Ottosson linked up with the UFO researcher. I don't even want to attempt that one. Joerg Arnu, who shared scanner audio allegedly capturing odd snack-themed code words over Area 51's unencrypted radio channels during a B-2 bomber flight hours before the Dorito-shaped sighting. The pilots were heard tossing around phrases like profile Michelob, imperial with garlic, pretzel snack, and fridge hydrate during the exchange. Arnu said the chatter was different than anything he had previously heard after decades of monitoring the airwaves. Ottosson cautioned, however, that the code words could be routine military jargon used by pilots, communicating over radio channels. Still, the YouTuber believes there is something interesting happening in the airspace around Area 51. Nevada logged more than 40 reported sightings of triangular, unidentified aerial phenomena in 2025, according to the National UFO Reporting Center. Area 51 remained secret for decades, becoming a focal point of UFO lore for years, until the government formally acknowledged its existence in 2013. Blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. It's a fucking military fucking aircraft. It's a military aircraft. Dorito-shaped makes me scared for society. Yeah. I've been scared for society for a little while now. We bought a one-way ticket. I don't know if anybody realizes that. This country is $39 trillion in debt. Oh. stick your fucking head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye. That's all I gotta say. I do not want to sit here and tell you all that I am glad that I am almost 50 because I have children. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm scared for society. Our last story of the evening. If I can get this damn thing to work again. From Fox26Medford.com. Idaho man sells Bigfoot collection to museum. If Fred Schulerman ever felt alone in his interest for Bigfoot, he chased off that idea with one Facebook Marketplace post. Attention Bigfoot enthusiasts. Overnight, Schulerman, 60, of Moscow, earned dozens of responses to his offer to sell a collection of plaster casts and footprints from famous Bigfoot sightings and other memorabilia. He is moving to a new job in Rathdrum and simply doesn't have a place for the collection he spent the past 16 years building. The collection of 20 plaster cast footprints and some handprints in display cases went for $4,200. The purchaser was a soon-to-open museum in Forks, Washington, which will be connected to a gift shop called Sasquatch, the Legend. The museum didn't quite get the entire collection. A Lewiston buyer snatched up 2 tracks, including one track that was said to have been left near Cooterville, Idaho, in 2001. Did I pronounce that correctly? Cooterville? That's the way it looks to me. Before the museum offer arrived. From his property management office, Schulerman has enjoyed people asking questions and wandering by to see what he has. And he has zero concerns about people thinking he is loony. Okay. The superpower older people get is they just don't care, Schulerman says. That I'll agree with. I mean, that the older I get, you don't care what people think. It's kind of liberating and free. That doesn't mean his enthusiasm for Bigfoot lore translated to the whole family. When his son, who is highly skeptical of Bigfoot's existence, was a teenager, Schulerman dragged him along to a Bigfoot conference in Montana. Yeah, I don't know that I would have dragged my son to that. Anything like that. We were sitting in the audience, and you get all kinds of characters, Schulerman recalls. And some guy in a Bigfoot costume walks in, and he's like, "Oh my God," and he sits right down next to my son, the look on his face. On the other hand, Schulerman's daughter was a big fan of his obsession and got a kick out of attending events with him. In some ways, even as his Bigfoot plaster casts moved to the Olympic Peninsula, the casts were already in the true epicenter of Bigfoot phenomenon. For instance, Washington State University professor of anthropology Grover Krantz, who died in 2001, published books on Bigfoot, a creature he believed existed. The academic tradition was continued by Jeff Meldrum of Idaho State University, who also studied Bigfoot tracks. Schulerman bought many of his replicas from Meldrum, who died at the age of 67 in September of 2025. Schulerman is happy that his collection will go someplace where people can appreciate it, and he figures he probably broke even on what it cost to put it together. He's also clear that he's only giving up his collection, not his belief. You know, if one person is telling the truth about what they say they saw in the woods, there is something to it, right? There's plenty of hoaxers, but I'm sure not everybody's a hoaxer. I would agree with him on that front. Now, I've said for a long time, that I don't believe in 99.9% of it. It's that 0.1%. It's the 0.1% of all of it that makes me go, huh, the fuck is that? You know? Oh, I wanted to correct myself too. On the last fucking show, I went back and listened to it. When I was talking about the Freeman footage, then I go back to talk. I was trying to talk about the Patterson footage, and I say the Freeman footage again. So I was being a fucking idiot, and I thought I should correct that. But what do you do, you know? But yeah, I've said for a long time that there's something. What it is, I don't know. Yeah, when it comes to ghosts, I'm kind of in an iffy area with ghosts. I think ghosts are a different phenomena. Bigfoot and UFOs, there's something there. I don't know what it is. When it's Bigfoot, I want to say divergent species. UFOs, I couldn't fucking tell you. Part of me, the part that loves cool science fiction stories wants to say they're time travelers. But I don't know anymore. I think we need more evidence. And getting to that more evidence is going to take, who knows what it's going to take. This stuff that they are releasing from the government, if you think that's the truth all the time, I mean, I'm sure there's sprinkles of fucking truth, but that's a distraction. A distraction. Because there's things out there they want you to forget. Jeffrey Epstein. Don't forget about it. Do not forget. There are so many things that we should not forget. We all said after 9/11, we will not forget, don't forget, blah, blah, blah. And now I look back on that and yeah, we should not forget the fact that they fucking pulled something over on us. I don't know what it was, but it was something. These planes flew into these buildings, and the intense heat from the explosion was so intense that it melted the beams of the buildings. Oh, by the way, we found the passports of all of the hijackers. Yeah, sure you did. I have questions. And I will always have questions. And when the government's involved in releasing information, I'm going to have more questions. Keep your eye on the ball, people. Do not take your eye off the ball. That's my advice. Do not take your eye off the ball. There's hokey shit going on, and we should all be paying attention to it. Do not let them get away with it. Hold people accountable. That's the best thing we can do right now. Hold their feet to the fucking fire. Day in, day out. So, yeah. So next week I'll put together a show. We'll do something interesting. I'll find something interesting to talk about. Maybe we'll dredge up an old story. Maybe we'll talk about the Mothman and how a lot of weird shit gets slapped together to create a story that possibly a dude could sell as a book. Maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about something else. Who knows? Who fucking knows? Until then, ladies and gentlemen, be good to one another. As always, it's crazy out there. It's crazy what's going on. Craziness. And I don't know where we're going. So until next week, ladies and gentlemen, be good, stay safe, and I'll put together something to tickle your fancies. But until then,